Another pro franchise, now just a memory, was the Cincinnati Royals of the National Basketball Association, who moved from Rochester in 1957. A few years later, the Royals featured a starting lineup of homegrown talent. Center Wayne Embry from Miami, forward Jack Twyman and guard Oscar Robertson from UC, forward Jerry Lucas from Ohio State by way of Middletown, and guard Arlen Bockhorn of Dayton. The team won more than 50 games one year and took the Boston Celtics to 7 games before losing in the NBA playoffs. By the 70s, new owners had traded away the team's stars, attendance declined, and the franchise moved to Kansas City.
So the folks in Cincinnati were clamoring for an NBA team. I'm scraping together my money. We're going to get it done here in Cincinnati, and we are going to start right off with the expansion draft. And as we get ready to dive into the expansion draft, I do want to let you know that along with the Cincinnati Royals, there was another expansion franchise added this season, and that is the Seattle SuperSonics. I will admit I tried to add 4. I thought that would make things more interesting, but the game is just a mess in terms of downloading teams, as you probably know if you've played this. So I was really stuck with 2, but 2 great franchises to go ahead and bring back into the NBA. And as you see here with the first pick in the expansion draft, and for some reason the Golden State Warriors did not protect Klay Thompson, so he is their first pick. I'm going to do things a little bit different here. My strategy is building for the future. I'm really going to try to keep the average age of my team to about 25 years old. If I can do less, that's even better. When we're done with the expansion draft, we will take a look at free agency. If there's some sort of veteran leadership I can add through free agency, we will do that. And then we're going to go through the season, obviously episode by episode, and really prepare and get ready for the draft. That's where I'm really hoping to make a splash. If we're lucky, depending on how you look at it, we'll get the number 1 pick in the draft, and we can really start to build something special in Cincinnati. This will be a limited series. The goal is to win the NBA title. As soon as we achieve that goal, the series will come to an end. And with the first pick in the expansion draft, the Cincinnati Royals are going to take Jose Alvarado. Our second pick in the draft is going to be shooting guard John Conchar. The third pick in the draft, we are going to select Omar Yurtseven, 24 years old, 6'11", 275 pounds. And speaking of rebounding, the next pick in the draft, we are going to go with Terry Taylor. Not only do we love the name, but he is a swing player. Our next pick is going to be hybrid point guard shooting guard Aaron Holiday. He is 26 years old. He is also under a 1-year contract. And our next pick is going to be another hybrid player. We're going to go a little big this time. He can do the 4 or the 5 position, 6'9", 210 pounds. I will admit that this draft is a little more difficult than I had anticipated, simply because I had a big board created. So I kind of knew the direction I wanted to go in and the players I wanted to take. However, each time you start a new game, a new save, it can change things up, or it does change things up quite a bit. So a lot of the guys that were on my big board this time around have been protected. So now I'm kind of scrambling, and this is taking me a lot longer. I'm editing most of it out so you don't have to sit through boredom, but with that being said, I think for the next pick we're going to go with a shooting guard, 22 years old, so I feel like we have a lot to work with there. He's got a bright future, $1.64 million. He is an 81 three-point shooter. We're going to go with Dwayne Washington Jr. With our 8th pick, I think I'm going to go with center power forward Moritz Wagner. He is 6'11", 245 pounds, 25 years old, so he fits the criteria. Some tough decisions to be made here. I want more three-point shooting, and we really need a true small forward. And Luke Kennard is still hanging around. 26 years old, just that money. $14.42 million. Now, I have to admit, the average salary on our roster at this point is south of $2 million. So we have the money to sign Luke, but I'm also looking at Sam Hauser, caught my eye. Primarily, he is the second best three-point shooter available from the small forward position, although he is tied with Reed and Ryan. They all fit the age criteria. Obviously, I love these salaries a lot more than Luke's. And we also have Pat Connaughton, though. He's 29 years old, so he would skew our age a little bit higher. But he is a 76 overall, and he is on the hook for 4 years. So we would have him for 4 years. It's one less thing I have to worry about. He is a very good three-point shooter, a little bit south of $6 million per year. So that is a tough one. That is a tough one. So I don't know. What would you do in this situation? Luke Kennard, Pat Connaughton. Would you go with one of the cheaper options with Hauser, Reed, and Ryan? They're not going to have the overall game. You know what? I think we're going to go with Kennard. We're going to spend the money. But Pat Connaughton, again, on the hook for 4 years, $5 million a year. Our average salary is so low at this point, well, it was before we signed Kennard, that I don't think this is going to hurt us that much. So we're going to follow Luke up with Pat Connaughton. For our next pick, I'm going to go back to the center position. Christian Coloco, he is under contract for 2 years, $1.5 million a year, 73 overall player. He is only 22 years old. For our next pick, and this has taken me a while to get to this one, we're going to go with the 26-year-old Edmund Sumner. He is quite a versatile player, 74 overall, but his rating package contains a lot of 80s and high 70s, so this late in the draft, I think he is a fantastic choice. And with just 2 picks to go in the draft, I sorted everything here by age, and I'm going to combine age with the overall skill set and see who kind of pops up here. Wendell Moore Jr., small forward shooting guard. He is under a 2-year deal. He makes $2.31 million, or at least in year 1 he does. He is certainly a possibility. So the money is right for Wendell. The age is certainly right. That's going to help skew us back down. So we are going to go ahead and take him with our second to last pick in the draft. And after doing my research, I think the final pick in the draft for the Cincinnati Royals is going to be point guard Miles McBride. He is a freakish athlete, super fast. He has an A in potential, so something we can work with there for the future. $1.64 million contract, so he checks all the boxes. He is going to be our final pick. So we definitely have a young roster. And then taking a look at the Seattle SuperSonics, they went with Klay Thompson, Kevin Love, Malik Beasley, Dennis Smith Jr., who was on my list. They took him right before I had a chance to. Trendon Watford, Javonte Green, Kenyon Martin Jr., who I was debating on taking just because I am a fan of Kenyon Martin, Kemba Walker, Bates Diop, Jeremiah Robinson Earl, Peyton Pritchard, Trey Lyles, Hamidou Diallo, hopefully I said that right, Vernon Carey Jr., and that is their roster. Taking a quick look at the staff of the Cincinnati Royals, this probably won't be pretty. Derek Ferguson, our CFO, is actually better than I would have anticipated. Wow. Assistant GM, he is not much in the potential, but very good negotiating contracts and trades. Our head coach is Jake Thomas. Our assistant coach is average at best, Bryce Jones. Our head scout, we might make a change here because I'm building for the draft. I want to have a solid scout, and there's a gentleman on this list named Cuba Gooding, who I think would fit the bill for us. And then our trainer is a C, Patrick Harper. So we're going to go ahead and part ways with Mike Campbell. Mike, you're fired. And let's see if we can get Cuba Gooding on the staff. 4 years sounds good to me. Normally what I do is I lower the salary until they start losing interest. Then I pop it up a little bit. So looks like about 178 is where he loses interest. So we'll do 185. All right, so we have Cuba Gooding for 4 years. And a quick rundown of the salary cap. I knew we did well. The total salary of the team is less than $100 million. We have $26 million in salary cap room, which means we can look at free agency and pretty much sign anybody we would want, or at least close to it, and we're going to do that next. All right, jumping into free agency. I don't really know what our system is per se, but looking at what we have available here. Tristan Thompson, obviously a fantastic rebounder. We could bring him in for some veteran leadership. Not much of a contract. Really, none of these guys have an overly heavy contract. Rajon Rondo. So I think what we'll do, let's set the lineup and then kind of see if there's any areas that were weak, and then we can come back to free agency if needed. And I was making a few adjustments with our coaching game plan, and I did notice that Jake Thomas comes with the 76ers playbook. I'm not going to change anything for now. We'll leave that as is. We can select players on the roster that we want to be the focal point, at least in terms of simulating the games. I don't think we're going to change anything with that. Offensive focus, pick and roll, that's not what I want. We want get shooters open, and we want shoot at will. All right, so honestly, we didn't have to make many changes from how the coach had it. So we're going to go with the starting lineup of Alvarado at the point, Conchar at the 2, Connaughton is our 3, Terry Taylor at power forward, then Yurtseven is our center. Sixth man is going to be Luke Kennard, and we follow that up with Sumner, Reed, Moritz, Holiday, Koloko. Really, Koloko getting no minutes per game. In injury situations, we'll have Koloko, we'll have Washington Jr., Wendell Moore, McBride. Well, we won't have McBride. He is actually a reserve. So there you have it. That is the starting lineup for the Cincinnati Royals. And I think it's about time to embark on the first game of the season. Taking a quick look at the calendar, first game of the season is the Indiana Pacers. They come into Cincinnati, and we stay home, and we then host the Miami Heat. Then, interestingly enough, we have to travel to Seattle. We take on the SuperSonics. Then we rematch the Pacers at their house. That is all in week 1. So let's get started. And the first game of the season, we take a W, which is shocking. We had a big second quarter. We won the second quarter 32-10. The only quarter that we won, however, it was so big and we were able to keep the other one so close that we pulled out a 118-108 win. All right, next up, let's go on to our next home game against the Miami Heat. And we have a trade offer. We are going to receive Knox II and a 2023 second-round pick for John Conchar. And there is no way. All right, so with the first 2 games of the season complete, shockingly, we are averaging 117.5 points per game with a young and honestly not overly talented lineup. I mean, we do have some good three-point shooters, but to win the first 2 games of the season, I would not have thought possible. But let's move on to the Seattle SuperSonics. Let's sim through this game. If it's close at the end, we're going to play through some of it and actually watch it. And then they're probably going to call an end to this episode. And in the fourth quarter here, we are starting to scrape back a little bit. A 7-point lead for Seattle with 1:49 left. Yep. So Seattle is going to take this, and really they should. They have more talent than we do. So let's go ahead and sim to the next game. And we have some bad news here. It looks like Omar Yurtseven has a bruised left knee. It is a new injury. How would you like to manage this? We're going to adjust the rotation manually. So let's go ahead and sim. And we're back and forth. So this could be a good one here. It is coming down to the wire. Now the oh my gosh. Well, with a minute left, all of a sudden the Pacers exploded. They currently have 44 points in the fourth quarter. But just for the heck of it, to finish off this episode the right way, we're going to go ahead and watch the last minute of this game. Now, my scout, who is very skilled, is telling me to give less minutes to Luke Kennard and Wendell Moore, but Wendell just got put in there, and he wants more minutes to Wagner. I'm probably going to listen to that.
Halliburton outside. And they call an illegal screen here.
Screen violation.
One of the trickier plays to judge,
the
but it would be hard to argue against the
Substitution
call.
on the court.
Yeah, you know, the officials aren't nearly as
Timeout,
lenient
away
as they
team.
used to be on that.
Now a moment to present the New Balance player of the game, Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah, and this game really has his fingerprints all over it. He's been dominating and making it look effortless. It's always fun to watch someone just flat out take over like he's done here today.
Boy, you can see the amazing relationship he's built with the hometown fans, and it motivates him to always give them his very best. Johnson is out there with O'Shea Brissett. Then there's T.J. McConnell. Then it's Neesmith. And it's Nembhard in at the 2 spot. So that's the group out there for Indiana. Washington, no good there. That would have cut it to single digits. So it's the Pacers now. It's tipped. Here's Nembhard. Baseline jumper right on the money. Holiday against McConnell. Here's Holiday. And he drops in the layup off the glass.
Great timing and coordination. Lays it in coming off that pick.
And so Indiana takes this one by a big margin. Even early on in this game, they appeared happy to be playing at home.
And it makes a huge difference. Once they started to get into a groove, you never really felt like they wouldn't come out on top.
And that'll do it, folks. For Allie LaForce, Clark Kellogg, and Grant Hill, this is Brian Anderson thanking you for watching the NBA presented by 2K Sports. We'll see you later.